So, all right.
And
So,
you hear me fine? I'm coming through okay, Major Tom?
yeah, you're coming through okay. And after this, the audio should either sound. What's either going to happen is that the audio is going to sound better overall, or we are both going to sound slightly less good, but like as an equal thing, or we're both going to sound better.
Okay.
And
Well,
I have a feeling. My sense is, not necessarily like being a podcast audio snob, that both equally sort of like tinny and a little off actually listens better than one being clean and the other having a little bit of fizz.
right, it's the jumps that are really jarring, and I can even attest to that listening to what we've already recorded, but
Yeah.
I still like listening to it.
This is like when there's a physical effect next to a CGI effect.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's the uncanny something of podcasting. Okay, so I'm gonna give a 3, 2, 1, and then we're gonna each clap 3 times, like
Okay.
1, 2, 3. So okay, I'm gonna give a count. Okay, so one.
And we're going to clap in the same tune. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then clap, clap, clap.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So it's the same beat, like 1, 2, 3, and then clap,
Right.
clap,
Right. Clap on 3. Like put your hands about like 3 inches apart, and then clap on 3.
So when you say the word 3, we clap.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time for posterity.
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're off.
Yeah, we're a little off. Okay.
Well, I think we reversed it again.
Yeah. Okay.
So do where? Oh, damn it! This sucks.
Okay.
Here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
So are you gonna clap right when you say the word 3, or are you gonna wait another second beep when you do the first clap?
Ideally,
Are we, like for instance, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, like that.
Because that's not what you did.
Okay.
This is fun. We got to keep all of this.
Okay. All right. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, and then a beat, and then a clap.
Here's what you do. You say the word 1, and then I'll get your beat, and I'll say 2 and 3 with you. That way we're both in sync, and then we'll clap, clap, clap. The same way, okay?
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
1,
2, 3.
3.
That was much better.
That was much better. I still feel like there's about a second delay in between the claps.
Do you want to do it one more time?
One more time, and let's just try to get the. Hold on. You know what? You know what we should do?
What?
Turn on your Skype video.
Turn on your Skype video.
Turn on your video so we can see each other as we're about to clap.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But what if that's
Oh.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I had a feeling that the clap thing was bullshit because
That's what everyone in work told me.
yeah, everyone said, "Oh yeah, no, you just both clap together." I'm like, "There's no possible way that's
Oh, Bob,
actually gonna
I
sync."
have an idea.
What?
I'm an idiot. We're both idiots.
How are we?
I have a microphone on my head right now,
Yeah.
and I have a speaker on my computer.
Yeah.
So you do 1, 2, 3 and clap your hands, and I'll put the microphone up to the speaker on the computer, and then my side will record your audio too.
Okay.
And then you just sync both of those pieces of audio up.
Yeah. All right.
So where's this microphone at on this phone? Now clap 3 times. Yeah. We saved Tinkerbell.
Okay. Okay.
My
So theoretically, that means that my clap should be on your end.
Yes, my microphone picked it up. I saw it show up in the WAV file.
Oh, okay. So the issue was that you weren't seeing my claps recorded on your end.
That's right.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
why it
All right.
wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
And the good news is, looking at these WAV files reminds me that, like, oh, and I'm recording this in stereo. Should I have done mono?
Stereo's fine.
Okay. It reminds me of looking at, like, WAV files you spent 24 hours downloading, like, the new Metallica single. Like, I remember when, what the hell is that song called? When Metallica shaved their hair and went alternative. So tear me open, pull me out. What the hell was that song called?
uh
Oh, the
oh shit.
Until It Sleeps. I remember downloading that for 24 hours on AOL and
Yeah, no,
getting like the 2 megabyte wave file
yeah,
and listening to it
yeah,
before any of my friends.
right. Oh man,
Because we had a 28.8 baud
yeah.
instead of a 14.4.
I remember.
So,
I'm glad you remembered like the actual name of that because I almost confused that for Wherever I May Roam, and would have gotten a bunch of angry music fan comments.
hey, at least you didn't confuse it with Moth into the Flame and then lost your street cred.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because it is a myth that late Metallica all sounds the same. It's a complete myth.
Complete myth.
Complete
It
myth.
holds no water, if you will.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's it is you can absolutely identify every load versus reload song.
Yes, and it doesn't sound like Lars's drums were recorded through a wall at all
No,
on
not at
any
all.
of the new stuff at all.
Not at all. It's all Metallica didn't lose a step. Not
I have a hard time listening to this and keeping a straight face.
not as because Chris, they do sell out every
Yes,
show.
every show. Fire bad. We're so fucking rich.
Do you think anyone still remembers what that's a reference for?
I do.
Well, okay, yeah, all right. All right.
Didn't they like redo that gag as like a Superman's death thing too?
Possibly?
Because it was the Frankenstein Phil Hartman shtick, right?
Well, a little bit. It was because like the joke for people who don't have context for this. Once upon a time, there was a thing called Napster, which was very controversial.
Napster bad,
Yeah.
money good.
It was like primitive Spotify, and Metallica was the only band that was like both relevant but also like oldish enough to really like get meaningfully pissed off about file sharing and not getting paid for the files being shared, and this made them pariahs. In the early days of everything on the internet should not cost money because reasons.
Right.
And this made them press. So there was this like Flash cartoon, way back in the day when Flash cartoons were a meaningful thing and not just any asshole could do one. Of Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield make it, not their actual selves, obviously, complaining about Napster. The joke being that because Hetfield had famously been lit on fire at one point in his life, that they should render him as the Frankenstein monster, saying that various things, including fire, were bad. That was the meta joke. This is quintessential of why internet comedy generally doesn't last.
Yes.
Because you need to have a mountain of information to understand what the joke is referencing, but it's information that is already gone and over and, disappeared into the fairy dust before the joke has landed.
Right.
And which is why, hey, natural segue, that it feels like that a lot of early internet humor is sort of like lost to time, even though this is the one thing that we were told would not happen on the internet was, nothing old will ever go away again. It's like, really? Try to look up your old AOL page.
Yeah, there's just way more old stuff
Yeah,
to
right.
go away.
Yeah. So Chris...
Oh, Marjorie Stewart Baxter, you taste like sunshine dust. We'll see how many people blow up about salad fingers there for a minute.
So, now, I mean, you and I were both kind of there for the, we weren't like early adopters of the internet, but we were pretty much there. Like, 96 to 97 is considered the not the birth of the internet, but the birth of normal people having access to it.
I think that was the birth of the shockwave player.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was right around that time.
Yeah, it was. I remember very distinctly that the the existence of internet culture kind of like gradually built through the early 90s, and then in 96 to 97 it felt like it very suddenly became a moment where you were expected to have not only email, but you were expected to have an AOL account or Prodigy, CompuServe, whatever, and you had access to the web, and you were, this was now an ubiquitous part of life, and it happened pretty much overnight.
Yes.
And or at least felt like it happened overnight if you were living in more or less the mainstream of society, and suddenly you had, because we had a computer for a long time in the house. We had
we had a Commodore 64 and then a Commodore Amiga 500.
Right, yeah, we had
lots of pirated software.
Yes, well, at the time, because Amiga was kind of like almost over, so that was the only way you could get the pirated software. But it had a writing program and a printer and Deluxe Paint. So really,
Deluxe Paint, we had so much mileage off of D-Paint. It's not even funny.
Yeah, that was first filmmaking for like the both of us.
Yeah, you used it for your incredibly cool animated movies that like a 2-hour movie would be on like 256 floppy disks.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I did.
And then,
I did do that.
And then I would use it to do opening credit sequences and ending credit sequences for movies, and then we would edit them in at first by just putting our father's General Electric VHS camcorder with the over-the-shoulder VHS player that was pretty much a low-end version of what you'd have in a TV production class, which allowed for sound dubbing and video dubbing and splicing, and you could do video over other video. It was actually quite incredible, but you and I learned it like through trial and error, because we used to record off the TV.
Yeah.
To do these opening and ending credits, and I think for the movies you did on the computer, you just literally recorded off the computer screen, right?
For the first,
after a while, we found a way to send it directly through video cable into the camcorder.
Yeah, we did that for a while, because like Dad had bought one of the early, and had used forever, one of the early VHS cameras, which had a really, like, you had to hold this thing on your shoulder, video cameras, and then to keep it from being too heavy, it outputted to a separate VHS unit that you wore on a sling on your shoulder.
It was incredible.
Yeah, and Jesus, does he still have that?
Yeah, it's in the attic, I believe.
Okay, we need to get our hands on that, because like what's become a huge thing is people who want to do internet video and have like give it that authentic sort of like 1980s CRT video sheen.
Yes.
No one has yet figured out a template thing that you can plug into Avid or Final Cut or Premiere that actually authenticates that. So really the only way to do it is to make stuff, output it out to one of those cameras, Bob? And then back in. And it's really difficult to do, dude. But like made it work. I remember when I was in New York this past Christmas to do
I'm going to keep
the Facebook stand up with Geek.com.
About to hang up and call back.
Are you still hearing me?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Yeah, Bob left. He'll be back.
I'm going to have to call him back.
He'll be back.
Shit.
Oh, Bob has seriously left, everybody. I hope he keeps this audio, because that would be fucking amazing. Coach Z, 1212. Bob Chipman's calling in. And I'm going to have to puke. Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
I kept Audacity recording.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's good. That's good. Then you didn't like pause it all?
I didn't pause it all, and I said a whole bunch of random shit. So
okay, all right.
Some of it might be good.
Okay, well,
you were talking about the filter to make internet videos look like old VHS videos.
Yeah. That's there. We lost Skype there for a moment, so there may be a an awkward cut there for some folks. But
Bob, let's be honest.
yeah.
Everything here is awkward.
Yeah. So okay, so we may have lost. There may be an odd jump there. Yeah. So long story short, it has become an issue for people who want to authenticate that old VHS look. So if we've still got a working one of those, we should grab that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We should get a hold on that, providing it still works. What I was saying before we got cut off was when I was in with Geek.com for the Facebook stand up over the Christmas holiday, they had found an old analog VHS camcorder in the office and were running around trying to think of cool stuff to use it for, because where else can you get that look?
Right.
At the bare minimum, even if it doesn't work for us, we might be able to sell it to the Tim and Eric people, because Lord knows they must be the ones buying all of these.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good assumption.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, because they're still doing it, and their versions of that look authentic.
That is some fantastic shit.
Yeah, having done you gotta imagine, because it is difficult to still fake this stuff. Even when they try to do modern movies to look like old movies, they never get it exactly right.
Right, and I mean they get part of the way there if they film on film.
Yeah,
but that has gone the way of the dodo as well. So
yeah, bad video, early analog to electronic is easy to fake. Electronic trying to fake lesser electronic is really difficult.
Is an art form.
Yeah. Well, it's like
a lost art form.
Well, it's like when they did the very first run of CDs for early rock acts. A lot of them sounded like absolute dog shit because the software that was trying to convert these things through were looking at things like feedback and depth of sound and things that artists had always assumed would be there and incorporated into their sound.
Yeah.
It's like,
and now it's all gone.
Yeah, and now it's gone because it's not there. So now you can get good, for young music fans out there. For a long time, you could not get decent versions of Hendrix being a great example.
Or Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Zeppelin's one of the chronic offenders.
Yeah, Hendrix and Zeppelin, because they used feedback and echo and the assumption that these things would have to be recorded and re-recorded and merged, incorporated into the signature sound of the music.
Yeah.
And then when you put it through a thing that's going to take all of the mistakes out of something, it doesn't sound right anymore.
It's like playing Metal Gear Solid on the PS2 for the first time on your PS1 disc. All the aliasing and everything goes away.
Yeah.
You realize, oh shit, they were hiding all the mistakes.
Right, yeah.
Or when the fog goes away in Silent Hill and you realize there's nothing there.
Yeah. I will say that when I play older video games on modern consoles, I don't like to turn on the thing that smooths out the pixels.
No, there's something just off about that.
But I do like to turn on the thing that shows them as clear, crisp blocks, as opposed to the CRT lines that were originally did the motion smoothing.
Yes.
I like putting in a Mega Man game, and now blown up on my HD TV, it looks like everything is made of cartoon Legos, and it looks awesome.
Oh, it looks amazing. They jump right off the screen.
Beautiful.
And everything coming through HDMI on the Retron just looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. So we got a little off field, as we are wont to do, but the reason I wanted to bring up the early internet set was because we as we said, we didn't early adopt the internet, but we were pretty much there from when most other people got there in the middle class suburban United States, let's say.
Yes, our shared initial AOL screen name was Ultraman 20. Because our parents hadn't yet figured out how to create multiple screen names.
Yeah,
so we just had the one you started the account with.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really something.
And all of the women on the internet were confused when it was your younger brother. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah.
And chat rooms.
Oh yeah, chat rooms. And so what I remember about the early internet, not so much the early internet experience, but the early internet version of comedy and funny things that people put out. There was a real kind of like weird purity to it,
Yes.
because you did not you got feedback. There were places to like say, oh, hey, I like that, but like this thing where you'd put something up and then it was expected that underneath it there would just be a place for any asshole to say something, didn't
Yes.
really exist yet. So people who were putting funny, stupid shit on the internet really just kind of had to go with what they and maybe someone they were collaborating with thought was funny.
Right. It allowed for a, created in a box feel that you had really only had prior to that on like syndicated, not syndicated, sorry, like local cable access television.
Right, yeah.
Like one could imagine that if Mystery Science Theater 3000 hadn't happened as like a cable access show, it would have happened in the early doldrums of the internet.
Exactly.
It felt like, the first time you saw the VJs on MTV talking and you're like, hey, they have no precedent for this. They're doing this for the first time. You know what I mean? So there's no book that's been written on how this is done, right? I mean, cartoons, comedy, animation came in the form of movies, form of television, form of comics. The internet created kind of a new sounding board for people to create. And
yeah.
In the pre-YouTube world,
right.
In the pre-YouTube world, it was a much more interesting place. You had, like, I think we talked about this last time a little bit, but you had, the websites that would compile all this stuff, right? Because you had people that would have their own Flash animation sharing site.
Yeah.
Where they would embed it in their own site, and then E-Bomb's World or Newgrounds or Albino Black Sheep or all of those places would kind of compile them all. Things like Salad Fingers, as I just mentioned, and anything from Group X.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We could talk about it's called Mario Twins. I want to play it. And all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And, until the Flash people got their own sites, and it was just an incredible time.
Yeah. So what was like my earliest memory of someone showing me something on the internet and saying, hey, you have to see this, and having it be, like a funny random doodle and not pornography?
Yes, we're going to stay off of the pornography conversation here because the internet is full of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first one that I remember anyone showing me was the dancing hamsters.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
To the tune of the whistling from Robin Hood.
Yeah, the Disney Robin Hood. Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, like, and this was just some hymns doing that, and this was like the funniest shit in the world, and you could watch that over and over loop just because it's so random. It's a sound, and there are hamsters.
Dude, we used to like have parties and have it on in the background for some reason.
Yeah. People would just show up because, it was the weird randomness of it.
You had Hamster Dance, Rafflecopter.
Yep.
Eatabagofdicks.com, which I think still exists.
Yeah. Probably.
Which, for those that don't know, was just an MS Paint drawing of a bag of dicks.
Yeah. And,
what else? Badger.
Oh, yeah, Badger, yep.
Mushroom.
Yeah, again, we just kind of, like, it felt like stoner humor. It felt like what stoner humor would be if stoners were, like, 10-year-olds.
Well, exactly. Remember on the Cartoon Network when they first showed up, there was the What a Cartoon show.
Yeah.
And most of that became either full-run shows or a lot of the Adult Swim type of things jumped off from that. But somewhere in between that humor jumped onto the internet.
Yeah.
And then back off the internet.
Yeah.
And became like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and all of that. But when it jumped to the internet, you got, everybody and their brother making this weird shit.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And I think we touched on this last time, but my first exposure to, I'm sure there were plenty of sites that did this, and I don't think quite did it as well or the same success, and we talked about it a little last time, was Homestar Runner.
Yes.
And that was like my first day of college, and I don't know if everybody knows what it is. If you don't, go, because it still exists.
Yeah.
Um,
They started
but
up again.
what was that, Bob?
They started up again.
I know, it's fantastic, but it was a Flash animation website that I believe, and I'm sure there'll be people um, telling me how this is wrong or I got it a little wrong. But again, I'm not bringing this up in front. I'm doing this from my head. The brothers Chapman, I think, or they're just the Chaps brothers, I forget. They had either done a children's book in college and turned it into this website, or that was just a ruse and a background thing. But they were making these incredibly weird Flash animations that involved these characters they created that seemed like they'd be from a kid's storybook world. You know, you had Strong Bad, the King of Town, Strong Sad, Strong Mad, Homestar Runner, Marzipan, the Cheat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll miss a million, I'm sure. But they had this whole backstory, and you'd only find out about it by digging through the website.
Yeah.
There wasn't like, there's no movies. There's just random shows. It was almost like a weekly comic that was kind of freeform the way Space Ghost Coast to Coast was. You were never quite sure what you were going to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And then they had a way where you could email all the characters, and then people started emailing one particular one, Strong Bad, who I talked the last time. I felt that the Will Arnett Lego Batman character just is Strong Bad.
A little bit, yeah.
And I mean, there's more to it than that, but it's that same joke. That like overly machismo guy that has like an 8-year-old kid's vision of what overly machismo means.
Yes.
And is obsessed with 80s movies, and that website just feels like it was made in the 80s or the 90s. We could talk all day long, and we should, but you could start emailing Strong Bad, and he would answer, and they made Flash cartoons, and then there became yearly Halloween episodes and Christmas episodes, and the Marzipan's answering machine,
yes.
which was always fantastic. You're the best girlfriend I ever had. Let's have a marriage. Let's have a marriage license. It was just fantastic. And I don't know when you came about it, but I mean, the humor, they had video games you could play that were meant to look like Atari games. And they were actually joking at one point you might be able to buy an Atari cartridge. And then they ended up making the games so you could buy them on the Wii.
Yeah.
They did like not pen and paper, but point and click type strategy games, and Ye Flask. You cannot get Ye Flask.
Yeah, right.
It was just wonderful, and I could just go on forever on bullet points about that site. But when was your exposure to that, Bob?
Homestar Runner was from you, because you were off at college at this point, right? You were either like you.
Yeah, it was my first year of college.
Yeah.
We wouldn't go to class on Monday if there wasn't a Strong Bad email we could watch in the computer lab.
And then you would come home either on like the weekends or just randomly sometimes, and because you lived away the first year, right?
I lived away after my first semester. Semester I commuted, so I was coming home every day and showing you this stuff.
Right, yeah. So we would, and I was like, oh yeah, because
And this was in 2002.
Yeah. So you would be showing me showing me this stuff, and I'd be going, wow, this is so weird, especially because like I think I was probably a little closer in age to the guys making it. So I was like, oh yeah. Wow, I get all of these weird references.
Right.
Yeah. And what was nice?
Strong Bad's a luchador wrestler, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Who wears boxing gloves?
Boxing gloves for some reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what was terrific about it is that this was a very like reference heavy show. Like you could watching this now, you can immediately look at this and say, oh, okay, these are two guys who grew up in the late 70s to early 80s, and the show it's not like packed filled with direct, hey, remember, it's not a lot of, remember this, remember that. It's not a lot of that, but there's a lot of, like, I think there, like, isn't one of the walls in Strong Bad's house, like, painted with the Atari stripe?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it has, like, that.
It's all very just, the whole thing is one big collection of Easter eggs to everything you've ever loved.
Right, but it's not like they're not trying to show off and show you what they know. It's just sort of like this is our headspace. Our headspace looks like the headspace of suburban American kids who grew up in the Spielberg era, and have this sort of ephemera floating around them. And they do direct references, like, when they make the video games, obviously it's this is supposed to look like Atari and NES games. They do the Halloween episode every year, and everyone would have, like, a recognizable costume that was modestly obscure.
Right.
But
or just completely random, like, I'm the bee.
Yeah.
The bee from what? From nature?
See, that's a great nested gag, but, like, it wasn't, like, when you see this kind of thing now, where everyone and their brother does, hey, remember G.I. Joe and shit comedy, but...
No, they did the Cheat Commandos, which just was G.I. Joe.
Right.
With their villains, Blue Laser.
Yeah, and it's fun, but it's not a lot, like, you can watch this and you don't have to... There's more to it than just recognizing the stuff. It's this more pure version of, we're not chasing... I don't feel like they were chasing clicks doing that. Like, they weren't looking at the YouTube algorithm and seeing, oh, hey, the Beetlejuice cartoon is really in at this particular moment in the nostalgia zeitgeist. Make a reference to that.
And that's what made it great, is this was pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just pre-YouTube, but it was pre-YouTube, so... They literally, any share to this was just a link to the embed from their website.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing was that they archived it by releasing it on DVDs after a while. So you can get DVDs of the website at episode Strong Bad Email 100.
Yeah.
So you only had, like, the slice of how the website existed up to that point, which you can plug into your DVD player and control like it's the website at your house.
Yeah.
It's very weird that
bet
you could do that.
If those aren't... Yeah, go ahead.
What was that?
I was going to say, if those aren't still, like, regularly in print for them, those DVDs must be expensive now.
I can imagine. and the other cool thing was that because it was freeform and they didn't have to have a new Flash animation Halloween episode every week. They tried to have a new Strong Bad email every week, but they just kept generating weird content. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just trial content. Like, it would be a little 5-minute short or a brand new view front page to their website, which may have a hint to an upcoming Strong Bad email to it.
Yeah.
And then one time they did hey, Strong Bad, why don't you ever release an album of your songs? And he did a fake, like, late night, like, infomercial for, like, your parents' greatest hits of, like, the 1970s country, like, whatever. And they made up names for songs and did quick snippets, and it played so well they ended up recording and releasing the album.
Yeah, and it was funny.
It was hilarious. And I mean, and it's like the funny thing about this is they would get emails, and I'm assuming the emails were real, and people would misspell something, so they just have Strong Bad read it and make fun of the misspelling. Like, there was one where someone wrote something that he pronounced Fahugwa Gods, and it became a song right off the bat.
Yeah.
The Flash animation was just him singing a song about Fahugwa Gods. And they ended up selling T-shirts and paraphernalia, and they've performed a live show like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where they played all of these songs. I mean, hell, they had like 3 80s metal bands they created specifically for the site. I think it was Limousine, Tarantula, and I don't remember the name of the other one. And, I mean, it grew with the culture, right? Because they still had, nowadays stuff. People were playing massively online multiplayer RPGs, so the guy from Limousine would always... come online late at night during Strong Bad's emails and interrupt him on a Skype call to say, I'm going to be up all night playing an MMORPG if you want to join my guild. And Strong Bad would just click the Skype call out.
Yeah.
It was genius.
It was, and it was a real moment in time, and I'm glad to see. I guess they sort of, like, fell out of it because I think either one or both of them had kids.
Well, they had kids, and they did a lot of work. They did a lot of stuff with They Might Be Giants.
Yeah.
And They Might Be Giants kind of went the kids stuff direction. So I think one of them writes for Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh, cool.
If I'm not mistaken.
All right.
Or was involved in Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah.
Which makes complete sense.
Yeah. Well, because this was also before quote unquote e-celebrities. Which I understand. In a very limited sense thereof, in my opinion, I guess I kind of qualify in that realm a little bit.
No, enough people hate you.
Yeah,
that I think it works that way.
Yeah.
Isn't that celebrity status these days, right? Like you could be like the internet's Kardashian.
I guess, yeah.
That was meant to make you kind of throw up in your mouth a
Yeah,
little bit.
a little bit. I haven't tried to give anyone a Pepsi lately.
Oh, that wasn't even intentional.
Yeah.
Fuck.
No. It's fine. It's fine. It's no. What I mean is that like this was they became e celebrities at the point when if you were an e celebrity there was no career guide to being
Well, it
so.
happened by word of mouth.
Yeah. So you had to kind of assume that even if you were big on the internet at some point that did not translate into a full career, and eventually it was just assumed that you would slip off and go into another job. It wasn't like expected that you would just do this and then turn it into t-shirts and podcasts and such, excuse me, and then live on that.
Well, and they didn't have T-shirts and any of that stuff or advertising or anything to buy
Yeah.
when the site first came out. They existed in a time where the only way you could share this with your friends is if you emailed it to them or sent the link over AIM. There wasn't a Facebook share me on Facebook page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There wasn't an embed this on your MySpace. You know what I mean? Link on homestarrunner.com. It was a whole bunch of kids sitting around a computer lab or sitting around a single computer with the internet watching this and laughing their asses off.
Yeah.
It spread like Family Guy DVDs did in college campuses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. Hey, here's this thing that aired for one season and you've never heard of it, but your brother thinks it's funny.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now, what do you think it was officially YouTube that changed the whole game on that, or was it more just the fact that social media happened and the immediate sharing and the ability of these things to be not just ubiquitous but like monetizable kind of changed the whole thing, right?
I think it did because I don't think they were doing it for money to start, right? The money, whenever they came and talked about the money side of it, it was always so they could keep making the videos.
Yeah.
Like they were employed elsewhere. So it was always you buy this stuff so we can keep making strong bad emails.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Right.
I mean, a quick aside from that, around the same time there was this awesome Flash anime that was crowdfunded before there was crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
Called Ninja, the little ninja.
Okay.
That I don't even know if they ever completed it. But you had to wait a year and a half for each 15-minute episode.
Mm.
And they were gorgeous. I mean, it had like a Samurai Jack kind of look to it.
Right.
And that just popped into my mind that was being shared around the same way, right? You didn't have your friends being able to jump on Facebook and say 1 million clicks and I'll make another video. It was, we're making these videos before we even knew that there was an audience.
Right.
And that was exciting
It
to
was.
be living in it because Time Magazine talked about Homestar Runner.
They did, yeah.
And how it becomes that big when, there isn't the current, ad for it at your local movie theater on the, Screen Talk or whatever before to tell you this is the thing that we're going to play this popular song over so you can go check out their website. I mean, how did this stuff get shared? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it was a moment in time, certainly.
Yeah. But I think YouTube helped kill it, but YouTube also created something new for people like that to aspire to. I mean, Flash animation isn't something that everybody with a YouTube account is capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on YouTube and I talk a lot of shit about YouTube because, it's a ridiculous business.
Well, and they're getting kind of shitty.
Yeah, they are. And but one thing that I've kind of like objected to when people say is like, oh, the proliferation of YouTube has wrecked the ability of the internet to create good content. It hasn't. There's still plenty of good content. Like the current gen incarnations of stuff like that is still happening. It's just that there's also now, the bar to entry is so easy now, which is a good thing overall, is that it means that there's a lot more crap as well.
Well, it's the generic catered to you Google algorithm of creation that like Blockbuster was becoming after a while, right?
Right.
If you noticed when we worked for that company, God rest its soul, Actually, no, fuck that. Burn it down, piss on the ashes. I don't care. Anyway, moving on. You'd go to like the shelf of like the town that you were in, and the shovelware movies that were in between the big movies that you could see on that wall. You could tell they were propagating out there based on the area it was in. If it's an urban area, you got a lot of Fast and the Furious ripoffs.
Yeah.
And if it was in, another area, you got a lot of religious movies. And it's the same thing, right? If they think the content sells and they think the content gets clicks, there's going to be more of the junk.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And these guys got to exist in a world before that saturation happened. So they could rise above the pile because somebody saw it and everybody and their mother emailed them the link to Strong Bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just like everybody and their mother emailed someone the link to the end of the world. These flash videos that they're not going to get noticed now. Or we drink Ritalin. Llama Llama Duck. All these ridiculous videos that were just so damn silly. But they're so random, and these sites, were sharing them and hosting them.
Yeah.
YouTube now, if it's not the thing trending right now, you're not going to see it. There's just no way of finding it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless someone tells you to look for it.
Exactly.
I mean, I still have no idea how these things get, 10,000 views.
Well, like Twitter,
I guess.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of. Yeah, it's well. Also, if you the trick is to do one thing that gets a bunch of people to subscribe all at once, because
and they stick with it.
Yeah, because unless you make it a point to try to piss someone off, the actively going through like your old subscriptions list and clicking is something, not something that most people do, and say like, oh, I better clean this out, unless and I mean, like, I'm on Patreon to get some of this stuff done, and that kind of runs on the same idea. Is you're hoping, ideally, at least the way that I do it, because I've got fucking integrity, I hope, is that I try to consistently put out good content. But you look at the business model of something like that, the idea is someone likes something a whole lot a couple of times, and then says, you know what, I'm okay with, giving this person $1 a month for however long, and then that just becomes something that sits there.
Right.
Right, and that's something that they hope happens. Now me, I'm not comfortable just letting my Patreon sit there. I always want to put new things up and, try to keep people invested and give people more reasons to be there. But I'm sure that there are a few people who, probably on there said, you know what, I like this one video, here's $1, and then I just keep getting it every month, and, God bless you, thank you very much. I hope I'm worthy of it.
I think you are.
Well,
I contribute to it.
Well, you're a little biased, Chris, but thank you.
Nah, I've never even met you.
Yeah. You should. All right.
We should meet sometime.
Yeah, we should. We should like do these there. How'd the baby go down tonight?
Baby went to sleep just fine.
Oh, that's good. She's still falling asleep under her own power now.
Still falling asleep under her own power, whining a little bit from time to time, but awesome. Her Grammy was here tonight. So.
Oh, how's Grammy?
Grammy's good.
Excellent. How's the wife doing?
Wife is good. I'm not really sure what she's doing. Are you doing a Shaw's Monopoly? I guess that's better. Yeah, housewife stuff apparently.
So she's playing the supermarket Monopoly?
She's playing the Shaw's Monopoly game, yeah.
All right, hey, cool.
I'm not even sure if that's a countrywide thing, but how McDonald's does Monopoly? It's kind of the same thing, but at a shitty, overpriced grocery store.
Well, I think isn't Shaw's called different things in different areas?
I think, is it like Hannaford, where it was like Food Lion, and then Hannaford, now it's Shaw's and Star Market.
Right.
Are the conglomerate of good food costs less, or whatever their current slogan is.
Yeah, well, because but here it's in different places, because there's all Shaw's near us, but in physical Boston, it's all Star Market still.
Yeah, it's all Star Market.
Yeah.
I think that was they bought it and then kept the branding.
Well, I go, because sometimes when I am in Brookline, I go to the Star Market in Brookline, and it's like a really big Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
You know, like it's still that kind of, it's like, oh hey, wow, there's a lot of kale and granola in here, but it's like
Well, they're all trying to be Whole Foods when you get that close to Boston and Cambridge.
right, yeah, which is nice. Except it's like going into a Whole Foods, except I know the food won't be bad tomorrow.
Exactly.
Like I love the food for Whole Foods, but like I tried to do, trying to be like a good responsible consumer, going in, but it's like I'm gonna do my shopping for like the week at Whole Foods,
And then on Tuesday,
yeah, well, because like a person, I don't go to the store and only get what I need for that day. I go when I have a day fucking off from work and buy the food I need for the week.
you don't do your daily perusal after riding your bicycle from work back to your house and stop at Whole Foods to get your latte?
No, I don't. And
I'm surprised.
Well, no, and here's the thing.
Isn't that what we all do?
Well, no, but
I mean, that's what the TV tells me I do.
Yeah, right. But here's the thing. I have that kind of douchebag job. You know what I mean?
Bob, I work with people that don't have that douchebag job and still carry their life that way.
Well, no, but that's the thing, because like if anyone would be expected to live the do your daily shopping for only the ingredients you need for your artisanal semi home cooked meal that night, it would be me, because I live within genteel driving distance of a physical Whole Foods. And I don't generally have a 9 to 5 set schedule. So I could absolutely be doing that, and I don't, because it makes me feel like a wasteful asshole.
Right? It's funny that the food that's better for you and the environment is the food you waste more of.
Right. I am, my, the way that I was brought up to, responsibly nutrish myself, nutrientize, what's the...
I was about to say, I hope you didn't end that with just saying nutrish, because I was going to reach through the computer and slap you,
what's
you Rachel Ray wannabe. What the fuck was that?
To properly nourish.
To nourish, there's the word.
To properly nourish myself
size.
is that you go on Saturday or Sunday afternoon when you've used up the food of the week, and you buy things like vegetables and stuff, and the perishables, and they go in the crisper, and you use them throughout the week. And you buy, if they're on sale, you get a couple of steaks or chops or like chicken breasts, and you either eat them that week or they go in the freezer for when you need them, because they've had a nominal amount of preservative applied to them, so that if I freeze it, and then in a month, if I decide, oh hey, I'm out of food, let me thaw a steak, it's there.
Yes.
I don't go to Whole Foods and say, I'm feeling like I want steak tonight.
I'm feeling like $12.99 a pound steak right the fuck now.
Exactly, right? This is food that here's the thing. If I was throwing a barbecue,
that's where you shop.
Yeah,
or you go to a butcher,
right,
like a legit butcher.
Yeah, either go to like that I get, then I like that I get if I'm gonna, here's a bunch of food to have, but to do like my daily, I don't even shop daily for things that I use daily.
Right?
I'm the guy in this. This must be very fascinating for people who turned in for like the Nerd Culture podcast. We're talking about groceries.
Yeah, we'll get off of this really soon.
Well, no, but you know what I mean, right? I mean, like, we're both adult men. Like, we're not like domestic homemaking geniuses here. Especially because
we're nominally sufficient at not starving.
Yeah, well, I mean, home economics was gone from the high school curriculum by the time I was there, so it was certainly gone when you were there.
Yeah.
Like no one in a high school class ever sat you down and showed you how to balance a checkbook or boil water, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you either learned that shit on your own.
I think there was more to that than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and now, like that, like there are, again, back on YouTube culture, a thing that's huge on YouTube culture is like people saying, here is the miracle, the special miracle secret to, making your house work. And it's all this really, really basic information.
Oh, life hacks.
Yeah,
life hacks are almost all just home economics 101.
Yeah, but they call them life hacks, and I'm like, that's like, that's not a life hack. That's just an easy, that's the way you're supposed to do something.
Oh, we forgot because we can't buy it on Amazon to do it for us.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm thinking, like who looks at things like if you like salt the water before you put pasta in, that's something people don't know anymore.
Right, apparently.
Well, because when you make ramen, it's in the little packet already. It's already
Well,
salted.
ramen is just sodium noodles.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing more to it. I'm not even sure if there's any starch in there. I think it's just all sodium.
Yeah, there might be. So
it tastes like pure salt.
Yeah. Yeah, we segued pretty much gradually from YouTube nostalgia to Get Off My Lawn right there.
This is like the never-ending soda. Never-ending soda. Transition back into Homestar Runner. See, that was good. I got right back.
You got right back in, which is true. Did you know? Apparently, the young princess chick from the Neverending Story is still acting, but she's like on stage.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. She's still acting. She's like on.
What
on stage
was the name that he was supposed to call her? Moonchild?
Yes.
Starchild?
Moonchild.
Moon Unit Zappa and Moon Unit. No, okay, yeah, Moonchild.
Yeah, Moonchild is the name that the kid read. This is one of everyone's like first or second Google search.
You're right. I have the internet now. What do I need to know? What the fuck is the name of the princess in the Never-Ending Story?
Because it seems like it should be this really important thing, but it's like covered up by the lightning flash, and maybe we're not supposed to do it. It's like no, he gives him he gives her his mom's name, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That is so depressing.
Yeah,
the stone eater, the rock eater, rock biter, whatever semi-homoerotic name they gave that fucker.
The rock biter.
Rock biter, there we go. His first speech is so goddamn depressing. And by the way, speaking of Google searching, I came to the realization through thinking at like 2 in the morning that I needed to know this, and I had to search, that the guy riding the snail is in fact Deep Roy. And I didn't know that.
Awesome.
Did you know that?
I didn't know it now that you say it. I'm like, oh yeah, shit.
And that's Deep Roy's real voice as opposed to Danny Elfman's voice.
Yeah.
Doing all of his singing and talking in that Wonka movie they made.
Oh yeah, right.
That one. We'll move right past that.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Neverending Story is good because not like everyone says, yes, it's true that late 70s to early 80s kids movies were much more into the idea of just kicking the shit out of children's psyches until the end of the movie.
You stick that one in Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal in a 3 back to back. Right. You're going to need therapy.
Yeah, you have to earn your happy ending there.
Yeah.
Yeah, these were much more, the movies made for children by our parents' generation were much more in tune with the idea of childhood as being something you survive.
I mean, look at fucking Follow That Bird, for Christ's sakes.
Oh yeah, the Sesame Street movie, Jesus, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But even among all of that,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, well, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is upbeat, but it's scary.
It's fucking scary as shit.
Yeah. But even among that whole era, The Neverending Story sticks out as being a kids movie that is uniquely about depression.
Chronic.
Yeah.
Debilitating, suicidal depression.
Right. The evil force that's destroying the world it's not even usually the threat against the fantasy kingdom in those movies is, a bad guy's going to take over and kill everyone and it's going to suck. In this one, it's just the world is blinking out of existence. It's not...
The world can't even anymore.
Yeah, it's literally nihilism.
It's fucked. I mean, leave it to a crazy German guy.
Right.
To adapt that thing, right?
Yeah. Well,
that could be one of Peterson's best movies.
It is, on balance, yeah, it is.
I mean, Das Boot is fucking fantastic as well.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, but
it's always Air Force One.
Get on that plane. No, but yeah, but like, because like the dividing line between all of the good and bad guys in the Neverending Story is not, whether they're on the good or evil side. It's whether they're okay with, complete non-existence, or if they're actively resisting it. Like, that's kind of the whole thing of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's genius. And if you're listening to this and haven't seen it, how did you find us?
Yeah.
It's like a prerequisite. Like,
Now, hope, because these are going to be decisions that at least one of us is going to be making in the next couple of years. How old is a kid before you show them like the Never-Ending Story?
oh, 8?
You think so? You think that old?
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Because like,
8,
I mean, like,
I'd say not kindergarten, so maybe 6.
yeah. Well, because like it's dreary, but it's like it's appropriate. Like, there's nothing like disgusting or awful in it, but like
No, it's a little violent.
It
but
is.
I mean, most things are.
yeah, but like it feels to me, that one feels a little older than like some, like, even though like a couple of the Disney ones like Sleeping Beauty, certainly Snow White, are pretty dark.
Well, I mean, the Neverending Story is kind of on a Black Cauldron level.
Yeah, it's dark, and also it's not really clean cut. Like, it's wrestling with ideas. It's not just, good and evil. It's about, like it's all very fanciful and representational, but at the end of the day, you're still coming back, and this kid in the real world is dealing with some serious problems. Like, he's they don't spell it out in the movie. He's wrestling with actual depression and survivor's guilt over a dead parent. That's heavy,
Yeah.
that's heavy, and it's not like they get wished back to life or anything. He learns to the movie's about learning to deal with it. Like the whole end of that movie is, yeah, the world really did end, but you can build it again. That's a big idea, an important idea, but like that's a big idea for a young kid.
Yeah, it definitely grows with you.
Yeah, it grows up. Whereas something like, again, not my place to say, but like the early Disney stuff pretty much can go in as soon as you think they can grasp the
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
Ava hasn't been able to comprehend it yet, but she's seen Beauty and the Beast, which is newer, but
Yeah.
Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all of them basically. I showed her Monster Squad one day when we were home, but she was really young and she was probably asleep.
Oh well. Yeah.
Her first movie was Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Okay, yeah.
At a Baby and Me show. Don't attack me for taking my kid to a regular theater, people. It was at a Baby and Me show.
Well, she's very well behaved though.
She is very well behaved.
Yeah.
We go to the drive-in a lot.
Yeah.
We still have those.
Yes, we do. Those still exist.
And speaking of something we brought up on an earlier thing, it's run by the Andelman brothers from the Phantom Gourmet.
It is. It is. So is there a like of because like we just we don't have to go on like the list of like the classic movies that you must introduce a young kid.
Oh no,
to.
there's a short list. You got Dark Crystal,
Yeah.
Labyrinth, Flight of the Navigator,
Oh,
The
good.
Last Starfighter,
Yes.
Never-Ending Story,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one on there I'm gonna miss. Just from that era of if you're a certain age. I mean, you got your ETs. I mean, we can leave those off because we're gonna show this to our kids anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. E.T.'s
Not
obvious.
Beer Fest, Life.
Here's a question though, because no, go ahead.
No. I'm just looking over at my DVD collection, trying to figure out. It's come in more recently, but I can't wait to show my kid Tintin.
Yes, Tintin's good.
For fuck's sake, that was good.
Now this is something that's only just starting to occur to me is, do you have you had any thought of looking for, because a lot of the quote unquote nostalgia classics from our era, there aren't a lot of women.
This is true.
Yeah, so like I mean, but
That's sadly true.
yeah, and not that necessarily is like a prerequisite,
No, but you make a good point.
Yeah, but like representation being a thing.
Well, She-Ra is on Netflix.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, things like that, but like, and I'm sure people will jump in the comments and say no, actually, like, because I feel like that there are nostalgia movies, quote unquote, from our era that skew more to women, but they don't really seem to crop in until like high school.
Correct.
Teen Witch, for example, big nostalgia movie. All
Teen Witch is awesome.
yeah, The Breakfast Club, the John Hughes cycle until Home Alone and Ferris.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah,
you get a little older, don't tell mom the babysitter's dead.
Yeah, right. Things of that nature. But like The Goonies, a wonderful movie. Very.
Oh, and the female characters end up being strong in that, but at the beginning they're objects for asshole and asshole number two.
Well, also they're all older women too. They're not like
Right.
they're not the age of the Goonies.
Right.
It's in 80s movies in general, women don't exist until they're about 15.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and it's just something that, I mean, and I think this, probably why the Disney run, one of the reasons is it's so big. I mean, maybe the princesses are not all like the best role models, quote unquote, but they exist.
True, and they've been doing some minor fixes and tweaking to make that a little more palatable in the remakes and things of that nature. So,
right. But there's a couple I would think there has to be like a few good movies of like these ones that you can say it's like, yeah, no, hey, there's heroines, and they can also have like Labyrinth has a heroine.
Well, of course, Labyrinth, fuck yeah.
Yeah. The Dark Crystal, the main character is a guy, but there's a female supporting character.
No,
very positive.
what's her Jen?
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, she's
Jen,
dog, man. Fizzgig is the shit.
Yeah.
And she's the kind of the person that knows what's going on.
Kira is her name.
Kira, sorry. Yeah. Jin is the dude.
Yeah.
Brains all bonkers tonight.
No, she has the wings.
She's kind of got the I know what's happening. He's kind of just along for the ride.
Right. It's that's one of those movies that's kind of an unofficial Zelda movie.
It's very much an unofficial Zelda movie.
Oh,
I was going to say, how many Rainbow Bright movies were there? They were made for TV, but how many were there?
Well, no, there was one in theaters, and then the rest of them were like multi-part episodes of the show. Because
Rainbow Bright was pretty fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Care Bears, I think, was pretty gender neutral.
Yeah, they're just bears.
It was about bears.
Yeah. Well, no, the main human character in the second one is female.
Right.
Yeah, in the one where they're fighting. No, okay, hold on. You remember the second Care Bears movie has Darkheart, right?
Was that the second one? Which one was the one with the kid with the book?
That's the first one.
Yeah, Darkheart was this frozen guy.
No, Darkheart it was Satan basically is the bad guy in the second Care Bears movie because he has no physical form. He just changes into various other things that are always red and is just evil. So it's very clear they're fighting the devil. They don't say he's the devil, but he's the devil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Yes.
So you've got that.
Care Bears was fucked up.
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah. Oh, what was that? Wasn't there like an attempt to do a female Goonies with wasn't Christina Ricci in it?
Oh, the
Gold Diggers.
Gold Diggers, The Legend of Mega Mountain. No,
Yeah.
Mega Mountain was a Three Ninjas movie.
Bear
the Legend of something Mountain.
Bear Mountain.
Yeah, that was actually that. The unfortunate side to that is that was released to theaters, but had a very made-for-ABC Family feel to it.
A little bit, yeah.
Just it looked like it was filmed on tape.
Yeah.
But man, I remember our sister watched that back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, her generation has the Power Rangers,
right?
Which I feel has an equal number of female to male fans.
Yeah, about that.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at even now we've got the Hunger Games, but that's being shown to kids far younger than should see it.
Yeah.
The fact that you can buy toys for that is a bit unnerving.
A little bit.
You can buy toys for the Avengers, so I guess one and the same. But like you said with Dark Crystal, a Never-Ending Story. There's a perfect correlation, right?
Right.
The Marvel movies, unless you kind of get into the Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy type of territory. Not even really Guardians, just more of, don't really deal with heavy themes. They deal with comic book themes.
Yeah.
Right? none of these movies are going into Dark Knight territory.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
They deal
so
with it, yeah.
You could say like a Hunger Games type of thing. Well, the violence and the heroism that is something to look up to is great. You know, having a kid watch the Hunger Games would be like handing them a copy of 1984 or Ender's Game, right? That's high school level.
Right, yeah.
You know, that's not 8 years old.
Mm.
And I mean, I would love my daughter to look up to like a character like Katniss or someone like that. You're right that even nowadays, there's not, the Disney princesses are there, but where's the Goonies for my daughter? And who's to say, and not to say that in a sexist tone. I mean, I hope my daughter watches and loves the Goonies.
Yeah.
But where's the one that's 100% relatable?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure these exist. I mean, we may not,
Yeah, we may just be ignorant.
Yeah. We should probably ask your wife.
Yeah, she's not really giving me any insight. She's over there reading Courtney Crumrin. Is that what that is? Comic series? She's on the last one. She's making a sad face.
Well, that's something to investigate.
The Nightmare Before Christmas is very
yeah.
Across all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
categories.
I mean, there's plenty of things that have like good protagonists or secondary protagonists, and that are most things ideally are gender neutral. Because who knows what is gender even anymore.
Oh, agreed.
But
where is the? Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, because it still matters, to see in some way yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and it's okay. So how old for something like Legend, for example, which is not so much like violent but dark as hell.
Yeah, Legend is definitely like I'd say like 12 and up kind of a movie.
Mm. Even with the unicorns.
Even with the unicorns, Legend is a rough one.
Oh, hey, The Last Unicorn.
Oh, The Last Unicorn's as young as they can watch it,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
A classic.
That movie's screwed up. That movie's dark too, but everyone should see The Last Unicorn.
Well, what's great about that one is like that's dark, but like it's if you don't know some of the heavier stuff that's being like made reference to, you don't really get it.
And the music's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like you can watch that as just kind of like a slightly darker, fantasy cartoon fairy tale sort of thing, and then you grow up and then you go, it's like, oh, that's why that chick is sad to meet the unicorn when she's older. Oh,
right.
Oh, wow! I didn't make
subtlety.
I didn't make the connection to the mythology, but wow, that's devastating. Shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's didn't mean to get all thoughtful, but it's like, yeah, hey, that's a thing.
So while we were on the topic of nostalgic things,
yes,
which seems to be the shtick and the rhetoric we've gone on.
Yeah,
I've been building a crap load of Legos.
Yes, you have.
We've been sleep training our daughter.
Yeah,
and we were finishing up the Ghostbusters Firehouse, which the wife and I bought for ourselves right after we had our daughter.
Uh-huh.
And now we've moved on to the Disney Castle, which you helped me purchase for her for Christmas, which is awesome.
Yeah.
She's saying thank you and bouncing up and down. During it, Netflix had told me that my absolute 100% favorite show that's ever been on television is now available to watch in, I think, its entirety. 5 seasons, like 20 episodes a season. Maybe 30 episodes a season. But we've been watching the real Ghostbusters while we build Legos. And holy shit. Have you watched it recently?
Yes, I have.
You talk about things that were kind of in their own little world. 80s cartoons had this way of, you catch one every once in a while where the people making it are reaching or doing something inventive. I mean, we've got the people listening to this. I don't know how many of you lost many, many nights of sleep over the Boogeyman episode of The Real Ghostbusters, but I'm sure me and my brother did. Right?
Oh, God. The Boogeyman episode is that the best episode of the show?
It is. I've watched
be.
now, I've watched a lot of the first season, and it's freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. Visually, that show was just so bonkers. It like had the same aesthetic as the movie, but it had its own thing. I got to an episode I don't think ever registered with me where I was little in the middle of the first season where they basically tie the show into the movie because they always reference, Gozer and all this other stuff, but literally the episode flashes back to when the movie ended and they all walk in covered in pieces of Mr. Stay Puft and explain why they changed into their new uniforms because Peter was supposed to go clean their uniforms and all look the same. And then the uniforms get possessed. And so they're chasing them around.
Yeah.
And then they also explain in that episode where Slimer came from.
Yes.
Or like why he came back to hang out. And I'm watching it going, man, someone on the writing staff was trying here, man.
In a lot of cases, that was J. Michael Straczynski.
Yes, it was.
Later the creator of Babylon 5.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the other thing, incredibly meta and weird, and this would probably come with an interesting, like, it does come with an interesting story, is my wife pointed this out to me because I just remember the show, so I don't think about the voices. But the guy doing the voice of Peter is the voice of Garfield, the Garfield and Friends TV show. And what's incredibly weird, or incredibly ironic, is that Bill Murray, in the classic, I thought when I saw Cohen, it was one of the Coen brothers, ended up doing the voice work for the Garfield film.
Yes.
So it's very meta and very ironic.
Yeah. That's, because the only reason that it wasn't Lorenzo Music doing Garfield's voice again was because he had passed away by then.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, you get Bill Murray being voiced by Lorenzo Music,
right,
and then goes full circle, but on a dare almost, I'd say, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, and that's Maurice LaMarche as Egon.
Maurice LaMarche.
Who legendarily, for the series, was apparently told specifically, we're not trying to do sound-alikes for the guys in the movie, so don't do Harold Ramis's voice. And instead he did Harold Ramis's voice, and they gave him the part without saying a word.
He's the closest to the movie out of all the characters.
The only guy from the movie who tried to get a job on the show was Ernie Hudson. Volunteered to audition to voice Winston, and instead they gave the role to Arsenio Hall.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just such a wild show. I mean, I was 2 when it started.
Yeah.
And I had all the toys. I mean, there's that classic video of me getting Ghostbusters Proton Pack and putting on my makeshift Ghostbusters jumpsuit with patch that my mom had made.
Yeah.
And trading in my knapsack that was pretending to be a Proton Pack to wear the new one. And it's my version of the N64 kid.
Yes. Yeah, you were psyched.
That was my thing. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I wore that all day, every day. Superman up till that year, and then after that, it was Ghostbusters until it was uncool to be in public wearing costumes.
Yeah.
Which is still fine, but, we went to Catholic school.
Right, yeah. Well, I feel like Ghostbusters, and I said this on one of the shows, but, Ghostbusters, I feel like was a movie made for adults that kind of uniquely appealed to kids in an unexpected way. Because the theme of it is, it's like, yes, scary things are real, but, you can beat them, and you can beat them with, you can, logic this out.
It has that nowadays, kind of like the thing Will Ferrell and everyone have made a career out of, the man-child thing.
Yeah.
Was kind of, the people of our era that grew up with that movie and that TV show kind of became the thing that the Ferrells and the Seth Rogans and everyone were copying, and, they were one of those people, the Kevin Smiths and everyone else, the geeks that were kids and grew up. And Ghostbusters is much, you can't really show your kid Animal House.
Yeah.
Right? You can show them Ghostbusters. Cut out a few key words, and, it's easily able to be adapted to a TV show. And so that, they're really smart guys that never stop being childish, right? Yeah. I mean, that's Bill Murray's whole freaking character.
Yes.
Right? You can be smart, you can go to college, you can do all this, but you don't have to stop being a kid. And, when I was sitting there doing this, I posted to the social networks.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting around building Legos, watching the real Ghostbusters. 5-year-old me's vision of the future was spot on.
Yeah.
Do you know? And this is what I love. We go full circle with the Homestar Runner thing.
Yeah.
That whole idea that, we've kind of created a world where we can have our cake and eat it too. The things that we loved, we can still love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's awesome.
I agree. I agree. And yeah. I don't have a joke there. That's just a good observation.
No, there's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I get a bunch of people making fun of me, probably.
Well, no. It's. I mean, it's
17-year-old me about a week and a half ago. Got to see a band I never thought would get back together because I feel like they hated each other and probably still do. But anyone, the three of you maybe that have heard of At the Drive-In, I saw them play and they were fucking fantastic. So there's that.
Yeah.
They were great. Apparently they're making music.
Nice. And it was a good show?
It was a fucking great show. It was at the House of Blues.
Oh, nice.
Which used to be the Axis and the Avalon.
Right.
Which were much better places. But this was still fun.
You do what you have to do.
That's right next to Fenway Park, guy.
Oh, yeah, guy.
over near the, I don't even know though. What is over there now? The Tilted Kilt Kid.
It's down on Yawkey.
Down on Yawkey, near the Tilted Kilt.
Down on Yawkey.
Down the street from Jillian's.
Yeah.
Lucky Strike Lanes.
Back down near the Cask and Flagon.
The Cask and Flagon. It's usually about the time we start doing these voices that we realize our time's up.
Right, yeah. Well, no, it's still a trip, right? That Boston is like all of those parts of town are like, cool and touristy to be around in now because like even when I was like, 18, going down to that part of town was like, yeah, you went down there and there were places, but like this wasn't considered where the hip people went.
Oh, no, dude. Yeah. If there wasn't a Sox game that day or it was off season, you were probably getting stabbed if you were down by there at night.
Yeah, hip, the trendy persons in this city did not venture outside of Cambridge or Brookline.
He didn't say hipster. That was awesome. You caught yourself.
Yeah. So
trendy persons.
Yeah.
Alternative perspective folk.
Yeah. Like, no one would go to, again, unless there was a Sox game, if you got off the train coming in to do your visit to Boston, you didn't, maybe you went to Science Park, you went to a couple of the museums, Harvard, Cambridge area, plenty of stuff to see, but, like, no one was getting off the train going, oh my god, we have to go downtown and see the Wahlburgers. I've seen it on TV, and it looks fabulous.
Right, exactly.
You could walk around that whole area of town and not hear one, mid-Pacific, Midwestern accent.
Right.
No, you could not, now you go down here and, and it's great, it's lovely, please come visit the city, spend all your money, it's great, it still trips me out.
Oh, you'll easily spend your money near Fenway. Oh, yes.
It trips me out to be even at a place like the Tasty Burger or something down around there, and hear, you just hear, like, the general buzz of Boston accents and, various things, and then, cutting through the fog, you was like, oh crap, Harold, this looks like a good place.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole new world that we live in.
It's
yeah.
Whole new world, same world. They just shifted where the people go.
Yeah, it's all around. Well, I mean, people still go to the quote unquote the nice parts of town, but like now, I feel like there's no such thing as places that only the locals know of.
I think all of those are in Southie.
Yeah, well, because even then, though, people know because they've seen the fucking, like, Ben Affleck movies that Southie is a thing that exists, and, like, now that's where people who know to look for something authentic go for something authentic, but it's still
But they go there and realize it's just Southern Everett, and their car's going to get jacked, so they don't go there.
Yeah. This is the difference between, like, Boston and New York, though, is, like, New York does not want... New York wants tourists, but they want tourists to stay, where they belong.
We want to keep you on this, like, 2 or 3 blocks left to right down the entirety of our city.
Yeah.
If you go off this way, there's nothing for you here.
Whereas Boston cannot wait for every single one of our dive bars to become an imitation of a dive bar that can sell t-shirts of itself and get mentioned on Food Network.
That's right.
You know, we want
That's all they want.
We want Guy Fieri to visit. Not I don't want Guy Fieri, but like this culturally, culturally, Boston would like nothing more than for Guy Fieri to drive that fucking car down every street and walk into every random neighborhood pizza place and and declare it something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Our city's
Guy Fieri here in Douchebag Central. No, that's really the name of the bar, Douchebag Central. Yeah, what's his name? Michael Simon.
Okay, yeah.
He did a show where like he'd go to like Philadelphia and do like the 2 cheesesteak restaurants that are the most well known, and he'd do a blind taste test of them both and have people vote and declare one the winner. And he did Santarpio's and Pizzeria Regina.
Okay, all right.
So I know that those guys have been to the Boston area, and I think it was like a dead tie between them. Like he liked the sauce of one and the pizza better at the other.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like a little bit of a cop out. Like the 2 guys basically like held him up by knife point. He said, "You say one's better. You say East Boston doesn't have as good pizza as the North End. We're gonna fucking cut you." You know? It was like, oh, all right. It was kind of wild.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think it's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm tired, so to go back to the Homestar Runner nostalgia, I'll leave you with Tragador, the Burninator.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
No,
That's
it's a good place to go. All right. Thank you guys very much for listening. We hope this cuts together and sounds good. This will probably be the last one of these that goes up as a testing on YouTube, and I'm gonna try getting like an actual podcasty downloadable Libsyn kind of type thing happening for going forward. So hope it sounds good, and we will talk to you guys again real soon.
Later.
All right.